Tonight, new concerns on how a potential water crisis could impact the Silver State as cuts to our water allotment are being announced for 2023. And this comes after a new forecast from the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation that triggered the first ever Tier 2 water shortage for the Colorado River.
This means that Arizona, Nevada, and Mexico, they'll all have to further reduce their Colorado River use starting in January. As of now, California will not yet have cuts.
And we are tracking what this could mean for us here in Nevada and where we stand right now. But first, let's talk about exactly where the cuts are and how large they'll be. Here's the Southwest. We'll put the Colorado River on the map, and we're talking about the lower basin of the Colorado River. That includes California, Nevada, and Arizona, and also Mexico as well draws from the lower basin. Now, taking the biggest cut is the state of Arizona, a 21% reduction in their allotment. Behind Arizona is us here in Nevada, an 8% reduction, and then coming in just behind us is Mexico with a 7% reduction. Now, even though California is one of the largest users and in the southern tier of the Colorado Basin, no cuts for California required under this new plan. And to dive into a little more detail on why California is not seeing it, to break it down is Alexis Fernandez. She's been working this angle of the story and talks about why they're not seeing any cuts in California. Alexis?
Several reasons why is a question a lot of people are asking. Some of that goes back to past agreements and court cases. The Colorado River Board in California says that despite its senior priority water rights, water users in California have been taking additional actions to conserve water and remains ready and willing to finalize an agreement with other states to protect the reservoir. Now, although Arizona will be taking the largest cut, 21% like Sam mentioned, because of an agreement with California to absorb their cuts, that could change in the near future.
California will begin taking shortages should Lake Mead continue to decline and reach lower elevations. That's when their shortages will kick in.
And the Bureau of Reclamation Commissioner said the 7 basin states failed to meet a federal deadline, which was this week, to figure out how to cut water by at least 15%, which ensures that water deliveries are not affected. States must now come up with a plan, but in the meantime, the reclamation plans to take several actions on the upper and lower basin, which includes the reduction of Glen Canyon dam releases.
And you're probably wondering, well, how worried should I be? And how exactly will these water cuts impact us here in Nevada?
Fox 6's Betty White joining us live now from Lake Mead with those answers.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, experts I spoke to tell us that today's changes announced to water allotment in southwestern states likely won't affect the daily life of an average Nevadan next year, though they do, of course, urge Nevadans to conserve our most precious resource, that big, beautiful body of water behind me here at Lake Mead, because if you don't, you could face rate hikes.
For the average resident, as a result of the announcement that was made today, they're not going to really see any change in your availability of water.
That's because experts like Bronson Max say Nevada was already using far less water from Lake Mead than the amount allotted. The bar on the left is the portion of water Nevadans were allocated in 2021. And on the right, how much water Nevadans actually used last year. Quite a bit less. So even taking into account these newly announced cuts for next year, 2023, that bar on your left, the Water District still expects Nevadans will use far less than our allotted amount, and perhaps even less than we did last year.
It's an additional reduction that we need to make, but our community over the past 2 decades has been engaged in water conservation. That's prepared us to be able to absorb those shortages.
He says Nevadans have already been leading the way for conserving this water, our share of Lake Mead's water far less than other states.
It's the smallest share of the Colorado River pie of all of the 7 states. But that said, as a community, we are ratcheting up our water conservation efforts.
Even before the new announcement about water allotment cuts was made, Max says there was already another plan in the works to take effect in Nevada next year to reduce water waste, rate hikes for the biggest water users.
The change to the water rate structure, creating equal tiers regardless of what your water meter size is. Now, those who have large water meters, they are definitely going to feel the effects of this. But for the vast majority of our customers who are 5/8 inch water meter customers, there would be no significant change there to their rate structure at all.
We'll continue to bring you the latest on these changes to the water rates, of course, and how it will affect you. Reporting live from Lake Mead, I'm Maddie White, Fox 5 News, Local, Las Vegas.